guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Caitlin and today we are doing another read with me vlog. So recently I purchased the whole of the selection series. It was on a really good sale online and so I just thought, why not just buy the whole series? And they're so pretty. The selection is a lovely short little romance book. The story is basically about a prince that needs his queen, his princess, and there's a bunch of girls that have to fight for his heart. It's kind of like a bachelor situation where he dates a bunch of girls at the same time and then he ends up choosing one to be his princess. Next one in the series is The Elite. So this is book number 2. In the story there's a love triangle because our main character has a lover from the past that she still likes, and she now has to figure out whether she's going to stay with this person from her past or the prince, and you know what her future holds. And the prince also needs to decide which one of the girls he's going to choose. It's sort of the last episodes of The Bachelor weighs down to his final ladies, that's why they call it The Elite. And then the last one in the series is The One, where he now actually chooses which girl he wants to marry and marries her, and they live happily ever after. So the first 3 books, that's their story, and then 20 years later they have a daughter and she has to go through her own selection, and she's obviously grown up hearing stories about how her mom and dad met and it was this fairy tale and like they lived happily ever after. She has some doubts of her own whether she's going to find that same love at first sight kind of first love in the selection. I think it's daunting for anyone going into a bachelor/bachelorette thing. Like, I have to marry one of these guys and spend the rest of my life with them. I have no choice in the matter. Like, I have some choice out of these 35 people, you know, but it's not like you can go out and find your own person you love. They are kind of chosen for you. And then The Crown is obviously just book 2, following their daughter, then choosing her prince. All these books are really short, quick reads, so I'm gonna try and get through them as quick as possible. And they're fun and like some romance vibes, some dystopian vibes. I'm going to start with a selection and then I'll check in with you once we've read a little bit. This is actually quite interesting. In my previous reading vlog where I read Red Queen, I mentioned that dystopian novels are my absolute favorite, and this is once again one of those novels. It's kind of a new country was born and they have also these different factions. They call them numbers, so obviously you have 1, which are like the kings and the queens and the elite people, and then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and our main character is a 5, and they're artists and singers and things, so their work is very seasonal. Her mum kind of pushed her to enter for the selection because it could be a way for their family to gain something from it, maybe money, maybe fame, that kind of thing, because the selection was also televised, just like The Bachelor. Really, it's The Bachelor, but just in a dystopian time. Good morning, guys. It is the next day. I did end up finishing the first book in the selection series last night. In the beginning of the book, I was like, okay, yeah, it's a 4-star, it's cute, whatever. I think I'm gonna give it a 5-star. It's really so wholesome and cute. And I have a thing with romance books at the moment. I can't get a feel for them. So many of them are cringy. Authors use certain trends that are going on in real life and then they write them into the books. And especially if you read the books not when they come out but a little bit later, some of those things it just feels weird and it's cringy. It's not my thing. But I still love romance books, and this is what I love about this, because it has its whole own world. It's still a little bit of dystopian, which I love, but it's got its whole own world packed into it, and it's not trying to be modern. It's not trying to be relatable to trends in our era. It is completely has its own thing going on, and this is what I absolutely loved about this series, so that's why I'm going to give it a 5-star. This book is definitely where the boy falls first. Like, you can see how much he likes her and how much he cares about her, but in the beginning I really am in love with someone else, but I really do need to stay here because my family needs the money. So if we can work out something, like maybe I can be a friend and help you, you know, pick out a lady for you. He says, okay, no, cool, that's cool, we're friends, and then they really bond and they become quite close, and you can see he likes her so much, and He's such a sweetheart and he really cares about her, and whenever she calls he comes running, and that's just so cute. So Prince Maxen is his name. I don't know if I've actually said his name in this, but yeah, Prince Maxen really does fall for her first, and then kind of the end of the book she realizes, so kind, he's so nice to me, he is handsome, maybe I have some kind of feelings for him. And she kind of does admit it right at the end. She's like, I know we've been friends up until now, but I do like you. And then they kiss and it's cute. She has this old boyfriend, Aspen, from back home. We don't really hear about him throughout the entire book, but he is playing on the back of her mind. But then at the end, as she realizes she has feelings for Maxen, obviously still love Aspen, but I need to move on with my life. And you know, then she starts falling in love with the prince. And then just when things start going good between her and the prince, Aspen shows up. So he's been drafted into the army, and then he becomes a guard, and then he gets stationed in the palace. And then Aspen and America see each other, and Prince Maxen is like, oh, you guys know each other? And she's like, yeah, he's an old friend from back home. And then he's like, oh, that's so cool, I'm gonna station you outside her door, because there's like rebel attacks going on. So the prince obviously wants the girl he likes to be protected, and then he stations Aspen right outside her door. And obviously that's going to lead to a moment between them. Not a great move from Prince Maxen, but obviously he didn't know that he was the guy that she was in love with. Once Aspen and America meet again, he's like, I still love you, I'm so sorry for what I did. And she says, I still love you, and then they kiss as well. And so now it's a proper love triangle. So the book ends where she is torn between Aspen and Maxen. He's narrowed it down to 6, which becomes then the Elite, which is the next book. And America's decided to stay and see what happens. She obviously does still love Aspen, but she is willing to see where it goes with Prince Maxen. And I mean, if you get the chance to be queen, you would also stay. So that's kind of where the first book ends, is she's in the middle of this love triangle. I'm now about halfway into the book, and I have to say I'm a little angry because the book kind of started off where America was saying like, no, I have feelings for you and I really want to see where this goes, and please keep me around, like I do think there could be something between us. And Prince Maxen is basically saying, listen, America, I only have eyes for you, the other girls are only here because you haven't made your decision yet, but really I like you and you are the one I want to be with, so I'm giving you time, and just stick with me, okay? And that's all cute, and it's swoon worthy, like it's cute. There are 5 or 6 girls left in the Elite, and one of the girls, who's also America's best friend, just becomes distant, and you know there's something going on. And then it comes out that she actually was having an affair with one of the guards at the palace, and it gets caught on camera, and this is treason and is punishable by death. But then Prince Maxen says, no, look, I'm not going to kill them, but something still needs to happen. And they have this horrific caning. America saw this, everyone saw this happening, and it upset her quite a lot. And you know, she was screaming and she was asking him to stop it, you know, but there was nothing he can do. After this like whole traumatic event happens, she goes off with Aspen, who's also a guard at the palace, also her ex-boyfriend, whom she still has feelings for. Then they like sneak around and they sneak a couple of kisses, but yet she's mad at Prince Maxen because the other girl was found out. And I'm like, girl, like she's so upset about what happened with the other girl, and then because she snuck around with a guard, and then America does the exact same thing and she sneaks around with a guard. Like, really? Are you gonna be that hypocritical? So that angered me a little, and then she's like mad at him, but she's the one being wholly unfair, like toying with his feelings. Like, make up your mind, woman. But obviously that is the thing about love triangles, why love triangles exist in the book. This whole book is basically just a love triangle. I went on kind of a bit of a rant there, but that kind of pisses me off. Anyways, these books are really just romance books, but then because it's set in like this dystopian world, there has to be some kind of plot line on the other hand, and so
there's these rebels that kind of come in and, you know, look for stuff and kind of throws things around, sometimes kills people, that kind of thing. It was very little in the first book. They're a lot more involved in the second book, and they have quite a few like vicious attacks, but it just comes out of random because she's sort of swooning over the prince or swooning over Aspen, and then all of a sudden, you know, they have to run and they have to hide because the rebels are coming and I don't know what. That is kind of where I am. I'm in the middle of the book. I do think they could have made this just into one book. Like all 3 books are just the same storyline, just evolving, and really they could have just made it one book.
I realised I rambled a little bit the other night when I was kind of halfway through this book. America made all the wrong decisions. Honey, no, just use your brain. Now I'm just going to quickly try and tell you what happened at the end of the book. There are more rebel attacks. America and Prince Maxen actually get quite close and they spend some time together because they're in a locked room somewhere all alone. They kind of confess their feelings for each other. But America is being kicked out because she went on live television saying to the country that she wanted to eliminate the castes, which is the class system and the numbers that they are, and literally the backbone of their society. So she went on national television and said, I want to take that away. And great idea, yes. But honey, once again, that's not how you do it at all. And by that point, the king had it, because the king does not like her at all. So he said, I don't care what the rules of the selection are. You are going home, you're finished, you're done, goodbye. When they were locked together in the room with the rebel attack, that was kind of them saying goodbye to each other, and they both learned some secrets about each other, grew closer, and they did say, look, I like you, and I do have feelings for you, but it's kind of already too late by now. I can't actually remember why, but in the end, she does get to stay. She's given like one last chance. If she promises to pull her act together and not to go and declare ridiculous things on live television anymore and follow the rules of the palace, then she does get to stay. But Prince Maxen is going to make it harder on her. Like, he's not going to be as easy on her. You know, she has to follow the rules. If she wants to be queen, there are certain things that you have to do, and that's just the way it is. Anyways, I was kind of annoyed the whole book with America specifically because she was making really dumb choices. And because her heart was very much pulled in 2 directions between Aspen, her ex-boyfriend, and Prince Maxen, so she kind of pulled back from Prince Maxen a little bit, and that gave Prince Maxen the opportunity to then grow closer to one of the other girls, because obviously he knew that if America isn't going to be the one, he does need a backup, he needs a second plan, and he starts kind of a little bit falling in love with one of the other girls, Chris, and they have a very nice bond, and she realizes that there are certain things that she has to do in order to be queen, and she's prepared to do them. She's kind of in the running, and America has to realize that in order for me to win the prince's heart, eventually become queen one day as well, she has to realize that there are certain things that she needs to do, and she needs to pull her act together, and she can't just sit around, be torn between 2 boys and not taking this thing seriously. I'm going to give it a 3.75 star, I think. It's not quite as good as the first one. It's not my favorite at all. What I did like about it is that it wasn't just focused on the romance part of the story. There were a lot more rebel attacks, and you learn more of the history of why the rebels are attacking, the different sides of the rebel forces, and just a little bit more history about how the country came to be, and that everything might not be the way that it seems. So there are some secrets revealed, and that's nice because it adds to the plot line. It's not just a bachelor show where they kiss and go on dates. There's a little bit of spice added, there's a little bit more plot line. Yeah, and that's that for The Elite. And now on to book number 3. So I finished this one as well. Very quick read, very nice. I liked it a lot more than the second book, so I am going to give it a 4 star. In the end of the last book, America kind of has to prove herself to both the prince and the king that she is in this, that she can do this. A lot of this book is her proving that to everybody and really putting her best foot forward, which I really enjoyed much more in the second book, where she was just like making mistakes
at every turn. So that was quite nice to see. We also see a lot more of the rebels, and we find out that the one side of the rebels actually want America to be on the throne because they've seen what she's done and that she does care about the people and that she's very outspoken and she wants to change the country. And so they are very excited about having her on the throne, and they want Prince Maxen to choose America, which is quite cute because up until now nobody really liked her, especially the king. And so for someone to say, listen, we want you on the throne because we see the potential in you, I think that sparked a lot in her. This book, she really does let go of Aspen. She gives everything to Maxen, and I appreciate that, coming off of the last book that she didn't do that at all. So she obviously grew as a person from book number 2 to number 3. Like I said, the rebel attacks and things get more intense. The prince and America sneak out the one night to go and meet the rebels, to go and talk to them, and then America gets shot and she's like in the alley, she's running away. Eventually they find her again and they rush her back, but now obviously she can't go to the hospital. The king will know that they sneaked out in the middle of the night, which is very much not allowed. One of her maids actually stitches her back up and makes her all nice. And then that's kind of the first time in the books where Aspen and Prince Maxen kind of are in the same territory. Obviously they're both very concerned about America, and Prince Maxen does know that they have a little bit of a history, like they're from the same town, but he doesn't know about their relationship. Obviously that he is the ex-boyfriend that she was hung up on all this time. He knows there was someone, he hasn't connected the dots yet that it's Aspen. So that's a little bit awkward because they both want to take care of her and they both want to be there for her, and so Aspen has to be very careful with how he approaches that situation. Anyways, and then she heals. Like I said, she puts her best foot forward in the palace. She really proves to everyone that she can do this. Okay, and then America's dad passes away, which is very sad because her dad has honestly been her rock throughout these books, and he's been the one person that has supported her in any decision that she's made, and he has been extremely proud of her. So when she finds out that he dies, it takes quite a toll on her. And then she goes back home. Prince Maxen asks Aspen to go with her and to escort her home because they know each other and he can also be there for her family and all of those things. It's the first time that they kind of get to talk again as well, and she gets to reunite with her family. She has to also realize, like, she makes the decision whether she wants to be a princess or not. And also while she's home, she and Aspen talk, and they kind of both tell each other, like, listen, we still love each other, but not in that way. We're not in love with each other anymore. And they do let go of each other, and he also hints at he has someone else that's special in his life, and she also says, like, I love Maxen. She realizes that she loves him. She just now has to tell him. And then she's summoned back to the palace because she was meant to be home for a couple of days, and then she's all of a sudden summoned back to the palace, and she's thinking, oh dear, he's gonna throw me out because I wasn't there, and he's realized he doesn't have feelings for me. He's realized he's going to go with the other girl. She goes back to the palace thinking, oh lordy, he's gonna send me home. Actually, it's quite the opposite. He has narrowed it down to just 2 girls, just her and the other girl, Chris. And he basically tells her, look, I love you, okay? And she says, yeah, I love you too. And he says, I'm ready to choose you. And she says, I'm ready to say yes. And they have a little moment and they kiss, and it's so sweet, and they spend a night together and it's beautiful. And then the next day she gets ready because she's going to say yes and she's going to become the princess. So great, right? Great. No. Then, like, in the last 4 chapters of the book, everything just goes haywire. Then the next morning, Aspen sees that America and the prince had spent the night together, and he was like, no. And then she says, you know, we talked about this, we letting each other go, I'm saying yes to marrying him, all of those things. And then she puts her hand on his chest in a saying of, like, you know, I'll always love you, but not in that way. We're letting each other go, like, this is goodbye. And then right at that moment is when Prince Maxen comes around the corner with the other girl, and the fury and the anger in him is visible. Like, you can feel it. And I'm like, no, gosh, why did they need to do this? So then obviously he connects the dots and he's like, ah, that's the ex-boyfriend, you're still in love with him. And then he's like, I can't believe you lied to me, you betrayed me. And now he's gonna go choose the other girl. They're all dressed and ready. He now has to choose his wife. So he sits in the middle with the two girls on either side, fuming because he thinks that America lied to him. Obviously she's been with the ex-boyfriend all this time. So then he decides, okay, no, bugger all of that, I'm gonna choose Chris. So then the like cameras start rolling. America's scared because she just ruined the opportunity of a lifetime. And then one of her friends, she's looking at her, giving her a reassuring smile, and then all of a sudden she gets shot in the head. Not America, but like the other girl. Half of the room ends up being rebels, and like everybody gets shot and everybody gets taken away. The king and the queen die. Prince Maxon is shot as well, and then Aspen comes rushing in and he has to save America or the prince, and he obviously goes for the prince because that's his duty. And then the prince is like, no, please, you have to make sure that America lives, you have to make sure that she's okay. And he's like, yes, your majesty, you know, kind of like they bond. She gets thrown into a safe room. She has no idea what's going on. The last thing she remembers is him being shot. And so then eventually she comes out of the safe room and she thinks he's dead, and she's so sad, but then he isn't dead. She goes to the prince's room, who's now the king. He was shot, but he's okay, he's healing. And then he says, listen, let's just stop this. Like, I love you, I'm sorry that I doubted you, I love you, will you be my queen? And she's like, yes, I love you so much. And that's where it ends. Okay, great, they get married, it's awesome. They dissolve the case system so there's no more numbers, everyone's happy, good. Love story finished. With the first 3 books of the series, I still have to now read the last 2, that's the story about their daughter. Okay, let's talk about it. I finished this book. I'm going to start off by saying I don't like the main character, okay? I don't like her very much. This book is set 20 years after the first 3 books. America and Max are married, they've dissolved the case system, and they have a child. Now, they have 4 kids, I think. They have the 2 twins, who is, the one is our main character, and the other one is her twin brother. She was born 7 minutes before her twin brother. She's the heir instead of her brother. She's like working and training to be queen one day. Her parents have dissolved the case system, so there's no more numbers, but there's still a little bit of unrest, and they're a bit at a loss of what to do to keep the people happy. And her parents are like, we know what to do, you know, while we work out a plan how to keep our people happy, you, our lovely daughter, can be part of a selection and you can choose yourself a husband. Now, our main character does not like this idea. She does not want to be married. Her parents promised her that she would never be forced to marry anyone. She doesn't want to be married at all. She just wants to work on becoming queen one day. That's all that she cares about. She has no time for boys. And this is where my beef with her comes in. I think a lot of female main characters are written in a very specific way of like new age feminism. I can do everything by myself, I don't need anyone, I don't want to be married, I don't want to have kids, I don't care for love, like it's just thinking with the head, the super strong character, and she has no time for anyone else but the task at hand. And I don't like that. Like, I think where a woman's strength comes in is in being a wife and being a mother. And don't get me wrong, like, I am all for it. Like, she can be queen and she'll be a great queen, but you can still have someone by your side to confide in, to have a husband, to be the father of your children. Like, you still need someone by your side. You can't run a country on your own. Just like you need advisors and politicians, you need someone at the end of the day to go to and say, hey honey, like, my day was hard, or this was good in my day today, or, you know, I'm struggling with this, do you have any kind of advice for me? You need a partner in life, and I'm so tired of characters being written in a way where it's just like me, myself, and I don't care about anyone, I hate everyone but my job. Seriously, just stop. Other than that, it is a sweet story. She also gets 35 suitors, they come to the palace. She eliminates nearly half of them right off the bat, and the public don't see her in a very good light. They see her as quite cold-hearted and distant, and she is not really interested in the selection, which is all true. So basically they see the truth. She's trying to sway the view the public have on her, really just being in the selection to please her parents. and that's not great. You don't want that. Throughout this book there are really only a few of the selection characters that are highlighted. You can see from the beginning which characters are going to end up being in the elite at the end. There's one character I really like. His name's Kyle. They grew up together in the palace, but they hate each other, so enemies to lovers. His name accidentally gets thrown into the selection and he is chosen by random, obviously. She's probably the most comfortable with him, even though she hated him in the beginning. She kind of sets up a photographer and they kiss just for show purposes. They kiss and then she's like, oh, okay, maybe there is something to these boys. And then she kind of starts, you know, opening up towards them, and especially Kyle. And then there's a few other prospects as well. We have one guy who said, look, I am not really here for love, but I will be your companion. I will do what you say. If you make me your prince, I'll just do whatever you say. No, but she does find this appealing because she's not really looking for love at all, so she keeps him around for, like, in case she doesn't actually find love, and then he can just, like, be there to, I don't know, just do whatever. And then there's one guy that can't speak English. He's very cute and they kiss a couple times and she likes him. I don't really know why. There's a translator that kind of is with him, and it's a little bit awkward because there's always the three of them. And honestly, she has much more chemistry with the translator than the actual person that's supposed to be part of the selection. Like, you could just throw that guy out and just date the translator, because honestly, she has more chemistry with him. There's another guy too that's like a tailor that helps her fix her dress the one time. Other than that, no, there's not really like any fiery romance build up. It's just not there. It's a little flat. Anyways, the book kind of ends where her mum gets a heart attack. She eliminates almost basically everyone and cuts it down to the elite, and she also realizes, like, maybe I need to start taking this seriously. I need to find a husband. My mom's gonna die. Because if you remember in book, I think it was book 2 of America and Maxon's story, America's dad had a heart attack and he died. And then America went home and she realized that she has feelings for Maxon and that she wants to be with him, and Maxon also realized that, like, America's the only person I want to be with, and he sent everyone home. Now America has a heart attack. I find it a little lame that they used the same thing. So yeah, that's basically where book 1 ends. And then book 2 is The Crown. She's narrowed it down to the elite. So I think there's like 5 or 6 guys left. Her mum's in the hospital because she had a heart attack. Her brother married the French princess and he's in France. Kind of writes her a letter saying, nobody likes you and you're cold-hearted and not affectionate. And he's like, but I love you. I say this because I love you. She realizes she has to change her attitude. Like, this, oh, I hate men, I'm never gonna get married thing is not gonna work for her. She kind of starts falling in love with the boys. She gets used to having them around the palace and she goes on dates with them and she grows closer with them. Our top, I would say, is probably Kyle right now, enemies to lovers guy. I want him to win. Our other main runner is Henry, who doesn't speak English. She's kissed him, begins developing feelings for him, but once again, she has so much more chemistry with his translator. Like, just date the translator. He's cute. I'm at chapter 15, just before halfway of the book. I do think I'm probably going to rate both of them a 3-star. It's okay if you're into YA and romance. It's fun. It's a quick little read, but it's not the greatest. But it's fine. I'm going to try and finish this probably today or tomorrow, and then I'll check back in with you. Alright, we're done. It's a bit of a bittersweet moment. I've been reading this whole series for a couple weeks now and I'm sad to see it go. But yeah, let's quickly chat. I think I checked in yesterday when I was about halfway through the book. So I'm quickly going to run down what happened in the end. There was Kyle left, childhood friend, enemy turned lover. And we've got Hale, who's like the tailor.
He helps her with her dress now and then, like fixes it. He's quite sweet. We've got Ian, which is the guy that said like, listen, I don't love you, but I'll be your prince. I'll just do whatever you say. Then we've got Fox. Yeah, didn't really much care about Fox. And then we've got Henry, which is the one that can't speak English. And then of course we've got Eric, which is Henry's translator. Now I said yesterday they had some chemistry between the two of them, and was I right? Boy oh boy, was I right. Like I said yesterday, America had a heart attack and her daughter says, okay, listen, mom and dad, you need to step down, go enjoy your lives. You've been king and queen for 20 years. It's my turn. I've got the country. I've got this. But she's also saying she needs to end this election. Like, she's made a choice. So Hale, which is the tailor, turns out to be gay, which no surprise there. Then Ian turns out to also be gay, which no surprise there. And then they fall in love. So then she's like, oh, that's sweet, okay, bye. And then they leave and go and live happily ever after. So now she's down to 3 boys, Kyle, Henry, and Fox. No one cares about Fox. Goodbye, Fox, whatever. She needs to make a choice. Obviously, with Henry, it's going to be quite difficult because he can't speak English. So she's like, okay, cool, I'll go with Kyle. Like, they have lots of chemistry. He loves her, she loves him. Awesome, great, okay. But rewind, Kyle has always wanted to be an architect. He's always wanted to build things. And as our main character is walking to him, she's made up her mind she's gonna marry this guy, and then she realizes no, she can't do that to him. In the beginning it'll be fine, but in the end he's going to resent her because he has always wanted to escape the palace. She kind of sets him free. She says, look, I love you, but I can't let you marry me. You need to go live out your dreams and you need to go and live your life. And then he's like, no, but I love you, I'll give everything up for you. And she's like, no, I'm not gonna let you do that, which, very nice of her. Then her and Kyle are like, okay, it's over, cool. So there's one person left, Henry, the one that cannot speak English. They've kissed a couple times, they have a little bit of chemistry, and then she goes and she proposes to him and he says yes. Okay, so now, cool, she's gonna marry Henry, right? Right? No. No. Meanwhile, her and Eric, who is the translator for Henry, they fall in love. And like, when I mean they fall in love, like unconditional, like you're my soulmate kind of love and I love you, and they kiss and all of these things. But then as the selection works, like she has to choose someone who's part of the selection. And obviously he's just a translator, he's not part of the selection. So then they kind of tell each other, look, I love you and I will always and always love you, but will never work. I'm not allowed to break this rule. She's supposed to tell the country, okay, she's gonna marry Henry now. And then Henry stops, like he calls Eric and our main character called, I'm not gonna say her name because I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just calling her our main character, calls the two of them together. Now obviously it's broken English, he can't speak English very well, but it is so cute what he does. He literally stands in between them and he points at them and then he's like, you love. And then they're like, what do you mean? And then he says, I'm slow here, meaning he can't, like, he maybe can't speak English, but then he says, but I'm not slow here, meaning he can see exactly what's going on and he knows that the two of them are in love. And he says, I can't marry you, you two should be together. And which is such a sweet moment, and we see our main character really fall in love. And I like this book so much more because she has some character development and she's not as annoying as the first book. Like, she really lets down her guard and she does fall in love with Eric, and it's so cute. And then she goes and talks to her dad and says, look, I absolutely love this man, like he is my soulmate, but I know I'm not allowed to marry him, like what am I supposed to do? And then her dad has a nice chat with her, and then he also looks back on him and America's journey of how they also weren't supposed to be together and they had broken so many rules together that it was like treason basically. But in the end, you know, they chose each other and they found love. And then he said, marry the man that you love. Life is too short to not marry the person you love. And so it's a very sweet ending, and then she announces to the world, listen, I'm gonna marry this guy, and it's very cute and they're sweet, and there you go, this series is over. Okay, I've been making this slog for like 3 weeks now because I've been reading different books in between because I like switching it up, otherwise I get too bored of the one book. So I am so glad that that series is finally over and we can end this vlog. Those are kind of my thoughts on the whole Selection series. I really did enjoy it. It's definitely YA though, so it is a little young. All the characters are kind of between 17 to 19, I would say. So it's definitely a little bit younger, and I do feel like I'm getting at an age of, like, I'm getting too old for it, because guys, just grow up. Sometimes with these books I just want to tell the characters to just grow up, seriously. But anyway, other than that, I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anyone if you're looking into getting into reading or you enjoy YA. It's super fun. I don't really think you need to read the books if you've watched this entire vlog, because I basically told you everything that happens. But if you did watch until here, thank you so much for watching this entire video. I really enjoyed making it. So if you enjoyed watching, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment what you thought of the series if you've read it as well, or even if you just listen to me rant about these books for however long this episode is. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!